No problem. Greetings. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for this time. We're a smaller group, which is fine. I like smaller groups. We'll have more time to kind of talk and kind of share and maybe tailor some of these results or some of the outcomes today to your organization. Today, the intention was for this session to be interactive. I did send to Elizabeth a one-pager that I think she may have shared with all of you. If not, it's okay because I did embed the questions in the presentation. But just for the purposes to start off on the right foot, just be thinking about at least question number one, which is about how do we or how do you show your donors or potential donors that your mission is accomplished? How do you show that your mission is accomplished, that you are succeeding, that you are doing what you set out to do? So think about question number one. We're going to get to that in about 7 or 8 minutes, and then we'll have a discussion about it. But I wanted to put that on your mind first. So I did see in the chat a few, okay, so Annette is exhibiting events, Workforce Development Federation. Janet is focusing on creating a support group for young moms, stay-at-home moms, and working mothers. And I'm not going to be political, but I know that a lot of the discussion right now, as we lead up into this election, is about care. I am a member of the sandwich generation. I have children. I'm actually co-parenting a niece with a family member. And I have an older parent that lives with me that I'm responsible for. So Janet, I might sign up to join your group because I need some support and a community, because it is very isolating. So thank you for that. My name is Nicole Jean Christian, and I just wanted you, I want to make sure that I thank Elizabeth and the Miller Business Center and the Middle Country Public Library for this opportunity. This summer camp for nonprofits was a creative outcome from Elizabeth and I, because we said everybody has a nonprofit, youth, seniors, students, professionals, but what about nonprofit organizations? What about us? So this was like a creative idea that came out of our sharing like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's been very successful. It's like a spotlight. So we focus on things that we know nonprofit organizations want to have some support and assistance with. I've been a nonprofit professional for over 25 years, working in a variety of positions, starting out with basic membership development for a community-based organization, advancing a little bit as an organizer, and then fundraising and doing event planning for over a decade. That was like my thing. And then I moved into grant writing and administration. So I had clients that ranged from school districts to municipalities to educational institutions and nonprofit organizations. I then advanced into becoming a business manager for a nonprofit, and then I became an executive director. So I understand all of the elements of nonprofit management and development and what you're dealing with. So I understand and want to share some of the pitfalls today and the promise that is available to us. Today is part one of those discoveries. We'll see you again on August 13th to discuss the grant writing success system, because it is a system. It's not luck. You win grants by following a system. And today is about bringing calm to your collection, because people give to a cause, not just a crisis. And sometimes we get very focused on highlighting the problem that we solve and not always sharing how successful we are in what we're doing. So today is about bringing a little bit of calm to the process of collecting or creating relationships that support your organizations. And as I shared with you, August 13th is about the grant writing success system. If you follow it, your outcomes will be better. So today and in 2 weeks, we will talk about some of the systems and things you can be thinking about as you move further in the development of your nonprofit. Again, I want to thank the Miller Business Center for this opportunity and our continued partnership. I think Elizabeth and I have known each other over a decade now. This is going on over a decade, and I can tell you she's dedicated. Her heart is for this industry, and that's what connects me. That's what attracts me, is that passion and commitment that Elizabeth has. So without further ado, next slide, please. Thank you. So there's only a few of us, so you can unmute. We don't have to use the chat function. Just very quickly, what do we mean by calm? I think about clarity, honesty, having fun. These are some of the ways that I feel calm when I am in a business environment or a work environment or even socially. How do we exude calm? What are your thoughts or experiences with when you think about the word calm and the experience? What are some of the things that come to mind? Janet or Annette? What are some of the things that come to mind?
Not being rushed.
Not being rushed.
Yeah, time to think and plan ahead. A lot of times, people want you to get things done, but you're not getting that time to think about how you want to do it and how to move forward. A lot of times it's very rushed. So that kind of makes you make more mistakes than if you just took the time up front.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for that, Annette. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, in addition to what Annette said, calm to me means an avenue whereby I can really understand the problem to be solved, making it interactive, whereby I can understand where to come in and what kind of solution to present.
I like that. I thank Annette and Janet about, taking time. What about you, Elizabeth? If you want to share, what are your experiences when I say the word calm? What does that mean to you in your place?
Well, I think I automatically put it with calm, cool, and collected. So if you're calm in a business setting, then you have it together. Like you know where you want to go, what your next step is, you've thought about it, you've put together a system, you're ready.
Yep. Yep. And I think all of us, thank you for sharing. I think all of us agree that time is what allows us to feel calm. It's having time to reflect and to develop solutions. That's what I hear from everyone. Annette was talking about feeling rushed. There's a book out, or it may have been a podcast. I can't remember. It was an article or a book, and it's called The Overscheduled American. And there are statistics that show that from 1970 until present day, till 2021, we are now overscheduled by about, our time is like scheduled at about 120%. So that means all of our extra time, even our vacation time, even our off time is often overscheduled. We are now a project management driven society. Everything is by the clock and by calendar. I remember growing up, I'm not going to date myself, but I remember my parents used to have house parties. I mean, people would come over dressed up. They would have music playing, they would have their food and their cocktail or not, or coffee. My mother was a big tea coffee person. They'd have a cake and sit and talk. There was more time to reflect. There was more leisurely time. And I think it's important for us to think about that from the donor perspective. When you're looking to attract supporters to your organization, they're experiencing that same rush as you. And so today is about bringing that sense of calm to your collection activities. How can you make or create a calming experience either through events or processes or the way you present yourself that gives and exudes a sense of calm? We are a out-scheduled, overscheduled society, and we are also extremely stressed. So I did a workshop on stress reduction and mindfulness about 3 months ago for the library system. And I got a lot of emails asking folks, asking, can you do that again? I had a massage therapist come on and actually share with us about the things to do at work to help with mindfulness and stress reduction. Our donors are experiencing the same stresses that we do. So if we can exude that calm to our donors, we will have a better opportunity to connect. So when I think about calm, I also think about time to relax, time to reflect, and time to engage. And that's what we're going to delve into today, is how do we make more time to reflect, to relax, and engage? I think in the pandemic, we lost some of that. We lost that connection. I remember going to networking events. We would talk and hang out and just catch up with each other before even talking about why we were there. I mean, that was the way things were before the pandemic. Now we have these 1.5, 2-hour long Zooms where everyone's talking and asking for something. So let's think about how we can bring more calm to these experiences. Next slide.
Sorry, I don't know why.
That's all
Okay.
right. That's all right. So Janet and Annette, think about, because we're going to lead up to question 1 in about 6 or 7 minutes. But think about as we move to the first reflection question, because I even thought about these principles as I put this presentation together. Am I putting enough time in this presentation for us to reflect and think about what we're talking about so that we can develop and come up with some ideas that we can share? So some ways, I call it reflection triggers, some things to help you reflect and think about how to exude more calm to potential donors, because we all want folks to give and to sustain in their giving. We don't want one-time givers. We want relationship. So how can I build those relationships and have them be long-term? What makes you different? And how you can differentiate yourself from others in the field. Because sometimes the issue is we emphasize how similar we are to other organizations in the field. Let's say I'm an organization that helps with youth literacy. We may compare ourselves to the standards of successful youth literacy without really talking about what makes us different. So perhaps reflecting on internally with your staff, what are our values? How are our values different or unique from other folks? What about our approach to the issue? Maybe there's a unique approach that we're taking. Are we engaging the population differently? Perhaps they're participating or completing projects that are shared with the community at an exhibit. What are we doing that's different? What is special about us? Is there something special about how we were created? I am a member of a sorority, and one of the things that we do at every event is we go back to the founders, those 22 founders, and what their purpose was in 1913. What did they do? What was their mission? Why did they come together? That's what keeps us connected, is how we were special, how we were created. And then what about your approach? So think about your audience early, because sometimes we divide our audiences too quickly. We divide who we're looking for, into 2 categories, those who will give and those who will not. Well, you know what? Social media has changed all of that. I'm here to tell you, social media has completely equalized that equation. Any person that views your screen is a potential donor. Not that the audience is the whole world. You still have to have your niche market, but you also need to be thinking about how to present yourself in different ways by highlighting some of these. You might have a spotlight where you talk about your values. Do a quick YouTube video. Maybe there's something where you highlight your unique approach to solving the problem. Maybe your organization was birthed out of a need that resonates with folks. So think about those things. It's important to keep in mind your audience and what they potentially think and believe. Emphasize your unique values, what sets you apart, and any innovative approaches to your work. And think about your leadership capacity and credibility. Emphasize your leader's role in the industry, the leadership of your organization and their leadership in the community, and also your leadership in the industry. What makes you different? What makes you unique? So always advance the positive And remember that everyone we speak to is a potential donor. Now, thinking about donorship, where have you found a donor that you did not expect recently? So for example, were you out about or found or was connected with a person or an organization that wanted to give and support your organization from a perspective that was very different? So did you find a donor or a partner in a way that was unique? So for example, I'll give you this and then I'll prompt you. So I'm working with a Chamber of Commerce. We were surprised when a youth organization said that they wanted to do a fundraiser for us. We connected with the parents of one of these youth, and they decided that they wanted to do a fundraiser for us and donate the funds from their car wash to our organization. So has there been a person or an organization that you discovered recently that you didn't expect? You can unmute if you like, Annette and or Janet. Any unexpected donors in a surprising good way?
No.
Not yet. Okay.
Nope.
Not yet.
Can I really say no to my hand? Support, yes. Actually, I just started the NGO, and from the day one, I went for parents meeting, and the community outreach coordinator from Harmony Healthcare attended the meeting. I approached her with the vision of the project, and you know, when I was talking to her, I was like, "Oh, Jana, this makes so much sense. That's have my card. You can get in touch with me, and let's discuss further." So I sent her an email. She didn't respond. Then I later on summoned courage to send her a text message and informing her that we'll start a Hangouts April. You know, it's also surprising. I can say she was the only one that came for the event.
Okay.
Even the mothers did not show up, and she came with souvenirs, and she was so excited. She even shared it with their network, introducing Mindful Moms to their patients. And since then, we've had Hangouts April, May. She had been coming June, you know, encouraging, coming with souvenirs. So I see it as a support because I was so surprised. And it's been an encouragement moving forward.
That is good. So
Yeah.
you met someone that you were able to connect with, and they have been active with you.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
very good, even if it's only one. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing, as I said, with social media, before the pandemic, we were much more focused on quality than quantity. And we have to go back to that. I explained to the board of an organization I'm with now, it's not about the numbers, it's about who stays.
Yes.
So whoever, if I get one new person to come to an event and they repeat their commitment to us, they participate regularly, that's a success. So that's very good, Janet. That's very good. Even if it is one, the fact that these groups of folks are coming regularly is important. So make sure you're continuing to emphasize. And what's the name of the organization? Mindful Moms? I like that.
Yes, Mindful Moms.
I really like that.
Thank you.
So there are quite a few ways that your organization is different. Just the title alone, Mindful Moms, thinking about mindfulness and community. So you've got some on this screen right now, you have probably 3 out of the 4, the values, your unique or specialness, and your approach. So you can do 3 different marketing or branding activities just around those 3.
Yes.
Next slide, please. Thank you. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
And so when we think about calm, remaining centered on calming and thinking about our mission, the mission of your organization, is your mission being accomplished? And if so, how? And don't be afraid, because we're going into our first reflective question, number 1. So I want to say this, don't be afraid if your work seems to happen easily. or, you know, you accomplish goals without a lot of struggle. And your goal might be just to continue to build and grow as an organization. Don't be afraid about that. Think about it. How do we attract others? By this sense of vision and mission. We do that by advancing a vision of accomplishment, service, and celebration. People give to a cause, not just to a crisis. So let's look at question 1. How do we show donors that our mission is accomplished? And with social media, everybody is overwhelmed with data. You know, Instagram, our social media, I mean, every day we get bombarded with statistics and with data. But what shines through more than anything is when an organization touches a chord differently, either through storytelling or with some really blistering statistics, either storytelling or in-your-face statistics. So think about how you show donors. We can go to the next slide. This is our reflective question. We'll take about 30 seconds to just think. How do we show donors that our mission is accomplished? We'll take about 30 seconds and then I'll come back and we'll answer the question together. I'll just mute for a minute because I tend to talk out loud. All right, so you've had about 30 seconds to think about question number 1. How do we show donors that our mission is accomplished? Anyone want to share? What are some ways that you have or you would like to have shown or would like to show donors your mission is accomplished now that we're talking about it? I'll go first and then I'll call and see. Okay, go ahead, Janet, please. Please, Janet, go ahead. How do you show or want to show your donors that your mission is accomplished?
How do I want to show donors that my mission is accomplished? Effective, accurate, engaging. This question is, it looks simple, but
Yeah.
well, to me, I would say participants' feedback really help. You know, something happened to me last week. One of the mothers that got in touch with me was early last year. Someone referred her to me, and we spoke on phone for length. We've never met each other before, but I now had the opportunity of meeting her at an event later on, and she was so excited. Oh, thank you for spending time with me. Last week, I visited her, and she was telling me that, oh, I really blessed the day I spoke with you, that you really gave me a new hope, that she was feeling so depressed. She was now telling me what happened to her from the family pressure and the likes. And she was able, because she was having this fear of going back to work. She just had a baby, no help, nobody to help her. The husband always go far away to work. The mother-in-law came over and started putting pressure on her. So she was like, but it's after having a section with me, she felt so, her hope came back to life. She had the boldness because I gave her some insights on how she can apply for a job, be open to your employer. I have a baby. I will appreciate if you can give me an hybrid position so that I can be closer to my baby and at the same time perform at work. So she was able to do that. Now she still had that work. She has spent over 1 year at the work now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
That's a success story.
Yeah, so she's now feeling so excited. She was like, "Oh, I'm planning to introduce you to some other friends."
There you go.
So I just created a WhatsApp group. So she said she's going to share it. You know, I felt so that, oh, this is mission accomplished. I'm so happy. I feel so excited about it.
Mhm.
And you can
And that,
see the joy. Yes, ma'am.
yes, no, I said, this is good, Janet. That's what we mean when we say, how do we show donors that our mission is accomplished? And one of them is the success stories, and not just a success story. This person also benefited and shared what she benefited with someone else to grow your network.
Mm, mm,
So
mm,
one of the ways that we show mission accomplished is by celebrating our outcomes. And we
mm,
do that through testimonials where people are comfortable. You can do anonymous testimonials, almost like a review. You know, you
mm,
can do anonymous testimonials on your website or even in a newsletter that you send
mm,
out. You can do testimonials without a name or a picture. It could just be a quote. You can also look at referrals. Like Janet said, you know, looking at who refers, what participants give you feedback through a referral.
mm,
Anybody else have anything to share? Thank you, Janet. That's very good. So the way that I look at how to show donors that our mission is accomplished is through success and celebration. So advancing success and celebrating. But I agree with Janet. I think the main way we show donors our mission is accomplished is through feedback and referral. So please save and store and file all of your testimonials and success stories, the name, the person, and their contact information, because you may think that you'll remember them. You may think that you'll remember them very easily, but when the time comes, you may actually forget. So make sure you save the contact information of folks that have benefited from your group. So communication is very critical. Who are we? What distinguishes us from our other competition? What do we want to accomplish? How do we reach the goal? How do we hold ourselves accountable? And more importantly, how does what we do improve the world? How is what we do accomplishing this mission? How is it impacting the world of that particular industry? So that's just some things to think about when you're preparing your marketing and outreach materials. Bringing calm to the collection is by showing and showcasing the folks that benefit from your services. That's a really calming and engaging way to do it, and it's effective. Next slide, please. Thank you. Oh, yes. So some other ways we can show our mission for you to be thinking about is emotion and reason. So we can share about our mission being accomplished and our success in two main ways. These are appeals. These are examples of appeals that trigger emotion or influence reason. So fundraisers have a lot to learn from this classic, mindset, which is that folks think they have two minds, emotion and a logic mind. So they have an emotional and they have a logical. If you can identify or trigger thinking in those two minds or one of the other, it's a really, really successful way to gain traction with potential donors. So emotion is triggered by images, testimony, storytelling, and personal experience. Telling the world how much better off they are because of your mission makes an impression. Reason uses statistics to show success with outcome measures and impacts. So if you decide to go with reason and look at some of the statistics, like I did some as an example here, children who are read to for 20 minutes a day are exposed to almost 2 million words a year, just from 20 minutes a day. Less than 20% of US teens report reading a book, magazine, or newspaper for pleasure, while more than 80% say they use social media every day. These are sobering statistics that, depending on your organization, will trigger some sort of reaction from a potential donor. So think about how you show your mission accomplished by using emotion or reason. And this is really sobering. You know, I remember I see it now at the libraries a lot, you know, the summer reading clubs, which I'm very glad that they're still doing. And they're supporting and pushing and advancing more than ever before. And I remember reading books. We had book clubs in school. We had summer book clubs. We had winter break book clubs. And to think that just from reading 20 minutes a day, you can actually be exposed to almost 2 million words a year. So reason, statistics, provides an opportunity for us to think about what we can do and what we can accomplish. So emotion and reason, very, very important. Next slide, please. We're going to go into question number 2 after this. We're going to go into another reflection question. So fundraising success, think about making it clear to donors some of the things that emphasizes our overall success. Starts with a plan. Planning your fundraising efforts for the year and sharing that plan out with as many folks as possible. So that's your calendar and your invitations. Celebrate when you accomplish or complete an event, celebrate that event and record it. Take pictures, make sure it's memorialized, and make sure it's circulated and it's also available to the public. So whether it's on your website or on your social media pages or in a newsletter. Measurement. Having outcome measurement is important. So having a goal at the beginning of the year, how much do you hope to raise? How many folks do you hope to meet? And then publicizing it through a newsletter or any other outlet. Very important. Any thoughts about these 4 elements, Annette or Janet? The fundraising success pieces.
I mean, to me, this is exactly what I like to do. Sometimes it could be a struggle because not everybody likes to plan. That's my role. I'm a project manager by trade. So I am big on the planning and the measuring, but find that people aren't in the same at the same level of, you know, I'm very detail oriented, and sometimes I have to kind of sit back a little bit and maybe suggest things instead of saying this is what we're going to do, because I'm very 1, 2, 3. So I've learned to do a little bit more convincing why we should be doing what we're doing. Ask questions about, so okay, what do we want to measure? What do we want to see at the end? Instead of just dictating, I've come to the realization that some people might have trouble with just measuring things.
Yeah.
So I try to do a more, okay, so what is it that we're trying to accomplish at the end and how can we get there? So for me, I think what you're saying here is very, it rings for me. The celebrating, I have to, I think, and publicize, right? Especially as women, we tend not to be very
Yes.
self-promoting. And I think
Yes.
I'm working on that. We tend to promote others. We tend not to promote ourselves.
That's right.
So that's something that I'm trying to do myself. But I like this. I like the plan. I like the measure, celebrate and publicize. I think that those are really great things to you know to try and achieve.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, thank you, Annette, for that. I think one of the new ways or newer ways to promote or at least enhance your success overall, I think, you know, looking at the, you know, the slide deck here, the 2 on the left are more logical brain thinking. And then the 2 on the right, celebrate and publicize, are the emotional side. So it's really, really important, I think, to have both. And one of the newer ways to do that is through democratic and collaborative decision-making. So that is something that I'm incorporating more in my day-to-day, as well as recommending to organizations. We actually have time where we share out, like you said, it, you know, we're all, you know, we're trained to kind of achieve a goal, you know, by planning it out and saying, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to get there, this is what we need to do. versus maybe just laying out the overall objective or mission, and then having some reflective time to talk about how to get there. Because you'd be surprised at some of the things that we have learned, that I've learned by kind of letting the team figure some things out and contribute on their own. So the celebrate and publicize is the tough part. Like you said, I think sometimes leaders have a tendency to shy away from publicly advancing the work that they have done and what they're doing. And this will help you with that, putting together what I call a celebration plan. So for a fundraiser, what I do at clients now, they'll have a fundraising plan for the year. So they say there's 4 events for the year. For each event, when it's planned out, one key element of that plan is how we're going to celebrate. So either A, I'm going to record, I'm going to take pictures, or put something in a newsletter, or do an email blast. Like I'm doing a thank you right now for an event that I did last week. I got pictures back finally, and that thank you is going to highlight some of the folks that were there and some of the fun that we had. So that's going to go out only to the RSVPs. So it doesn't go out to the world. It's just thanking the folks that showed up, and it has pictures and a little bit of video clip of the folks at the event. So that's just one example. Celebrating and publicizing goes right along with planning and measuring, but I agree with Annette, it can be tough, especially when we are in that mindset of, getting things done, always getting to the finish line. Next slide. This is our reflection question. What ways does my organization appeal to donors? Emotion, reason, credibility. So how does my organization right now appeal to its donors? How are we attracting them more often than not? And I'll give my example with a local a social justice organization. We are definitely appealed by emotion and reason. So we use a lot of imagery that is often disturbing, related to civil rights violations. And the reason we have an annual report that we produce that has all these statistics about the work that we're doing as it relates to civil rights. So take 30 seconds and think about, what are some of the ways right now that your organization is appealing to donors? It could be emotion, it could be reason. Is it credibility? The actual experience of your leadership, or maybe how you all were created. Think about it, 30 seconds, and we'll come right back. All right. So in what ways do you appeal to donors? You can put in the chat or just unmute for maybe a minute or so. What are some of the ways that you appeal to donors right now? Donors or potential partners, I should say. Any special way? All
I mean,
right.
I think you kind of, we've been saying it the whole time, is telling those stories, celebrating successes.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the best ways to appeal to those donors, is telling a great story about how you're
Absolutely.
helping.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about, I was going to say, I think we've been talking about this for the time we've been together, which is really good, with the small group we have for this to be coming up as a theme. I'm very encouraged by that. But yes, storytelling is the key right now. Emotion, coupled with reason, is really, really essential. Now, the impact of influencers is where credibility comes in. So in social media, there are those of us that follow or identify with influencers. These are folks that have really targeted messages and they're known for it. So if you have a leadership or a leader in your organization that does really well with articulating the vision in sound bites that could be seen as an influencer or seen as a thought leader in that space, I encourage you to emphasize that. So if you're doing something innovative, something different, a new approach, a new way of targeting and solving this problem, I recommend that you emphasize that. Do a recording once or twice a week just to see and hear how that vision is articulated, and you can use it in some of your fundraising material. Thank you. Next slide. So some pitfalls to avoid before we kind of close out this segment of today's discussion. Some pitfalls to avoid. A lot of organizations do not differentiate themselves. I mean, I think Annette made a really good point that sometimes we promote everybody else except ourselves. Sometimes we have a distinct difficulty with identifying and highlighting what makes us unique. Let me stand up, excuse me. I try to sit and stand, I switch it up. Sometimes we don't make enough of an effort in differentiating ourselves from others. And differentiating ourselves is looking at how we approach the problem, possibly an innovative insight or approach to a particular issue, or some great success that we've had. I still reference back to a summer camp experience that we were able to provide for 10 youth in partnership with Suffolk Community College for entrepreneurship. And one of the participants in that was able to win a competition and go to Chicago for the Nationals Youth Entrepreneurship Competition. We still highlight that. We're one of the only chambers that actually did something like that. So differentiating yourself. Another pitfall is not having any measurement. So measurement related to your organization's work, how many, how much, and what it means. So how many folks you've served, how much have you served, how many hours, how many programs, how many events, how much support, and then what does it mean? How has it changed the population? So Janet talked about her organization's success story with a particular participant that now still has the same job from a year ago. That's a track record. So measurement, I recommend that you create an annual report, even if it's only 1 page. It's important for you to publish not a legal annual report. I'm not talking about your financials. That's what's legal. I'm talking about a qualitative review, a qualitative report or a 1-pager, kind of like an advanced newsletter that highlights your mission, the events or activities you completed for the year, any highlights as a way to document so that you have that every year in your files so that you don't forget things. And then another pitfall is being crisis or need driven. Folks give to a cause, not always just a crisis. And a cause can be wrapped in a crisis, something that folks want to support. It can be prompted because of a crisis, but that isn't necessarily how to get and keep folks giving and supporting your mission. So make sure that whatever you are emphasizing, how you're emphasizing your work, that it is wrapped around this idea of sustained progression, that this is good for the world because unless you are a crisis-driven organization where you only come into action when a particular thing happens. I'm thinking about the Red Cross, for example. They only target most times environmental, or physical hazards or catastrophes that happen. But if not, really think about how your mission can be stretched to be one of sustained progression. And then finally, lack of reporting. If you're can folks look you up online and get a copy of your newsletter or your annual report or any type of documentation of some of the work that you've been doing, get it out there. It's important. And WhatsApp chat groups are excellent ways to stay connected. I also use WhatsApp chat groups to share documents and ask folks to put it up, on their social media. Oh, thank you, Annette. I was about to say we're going to take a 5-minute break. I was about to do the same thing. Thank you, Annette. So I use WhatsApp chat groups specifically to share documents and ask folks to share those documents on their outlets. Next slide, please. So before we get into brand identity, we're just going to take a 5-minute bio break. 4 minutes. We'll come back at 9:55, 9:56. We'll take a quick bio break, and then we're going to close out with marketing, brand, and strategy. And then we're going to do some reflection. And then I'm giving you some ideas about how to advance your agency or organization's mission. All right. I'll see you right back for about 9:56.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Give everyone a minute.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm glad we were able to just take a quick minute, just a bio break to do some breathing and thinking. A lot of information, I know. So 2 more points is about brand identity and donorship. And then I'm going to close out with some things to think about, ways that you can advance your accomplishments and create and enhance some calm internally in your organization. So brand identity is promoted in 4 different ways, all within your marketing plan. So I was responsible for developing marketing plans for nonprofit organizations that I was a part of, and also as a consultant. And a few elements of the marketing plan that a lot of folks don't talk about is a repository of images. So you should have a dedicated file folder with all of the images related to your organization's events and any other images related to some of your activities and your population. So make sure you establish a repository so that you can take those pictures and create storylines around them. And this is something that I just started doing. In the past 3 to 4 years, I took a storytelling workshop during the pandemic, and it was all about using images that you already have and creating a storyline around them to share with your potential target audience. Your identity. So who are you? Who, meaning your organization, are you? How are you accomplishing your mission? What makes you different? How did you start? Where are you going? And what are you doing? So your identity is what you have created, and that needs to be advanced and elevated in your written material. So anything that you do, that you put out there to attract or to bring in partnership, we want to make sure that it's grounded in our identity. What is your organization's unique identity? And then finally, reputation/credibility. So these are what I call those referrals or comments that people can leave, or when they give you feedback, you ask, can I use this in some of my materials? So that when you send out an event notice, you can have comments on there for folks that have maybe attended from before and have some insight or reflection from those folks. Also, awards. Making sure, this is to Annette's point. I tell folks all the time, nominate your organization for an award. Nominate yourself. This is one of the things that folks do in the industry. It took me years to learn that organizations partner together and nominate each other to highlight and elevate. So make sure you're putting yourself in for awards. Be seen as a partner. Make sure, ensure that folks in your industry can rely on you for insight, support, and ongoing, insight and support ongoing. Next slide. Donorship. Really, really important. Connect before you collect. This is a saying now that I hold close to my heart. Connect before you collect. So connect, build relationship before we look at asking for funding or support. So how do we build our donorship circles? Through networks. So one of the things I say in my workshops is write down 5 or 3 to 5 organizations that you're a member of. Identify one person in each that you think has a connection to your organization. So it could be a faith-based group like your church, synagogue, or your masjid. It could be a community-based connection, maybe a neighbor on your street, or perhaps a coworker. So think about your networks already. Think about grateful benefactors. Who has already benefited from your organization? Just like we have a repository of images, we want to have a repository of folks that have benefited from your organization. And they have also given you feedback. So you want to have a folder, benefactors, and images. Relevancy and co-host. So make sure and always be looking for ways to co-host activities. Have you all had any success with co-hosting activities? Have you co-hosted an event with another person yet? Hi there, Annette. Perfect. We just got back too. Have you had any success with co-hosting events? If you haven't, I recommend that you do. I would recommend that you co-host events by identifying folks in the community that are doing this work and finding a way to partner with them to do an event together. It's an excellent way to kind of split costs sometime and also to spread around the responsibility. So connect before you collect. And finally, make time to just get to know each other in the industry. Have plenty of opportunities to socialize. In this post-pandemic world, folks are constantly being bombarded with requests. Find opportunities to just enjoy, relax, and learn. Next slide, please. Some closing questions to think about. How can you make giving easier? How can you make giving easier emotionally and physically? How do you make giving easier? Before we finish it with our last question of today, any question or suggestions about making giving easier physically and or emotionally? How do we make giving to an organization easier? We've talked about planned giving. You know, we've talked about systematic giving, where someone signs up to give to you on an automatic basis from their checking account or their credit card. We know that absolutely works, making it easier for people so they don't have to think about it. And then physically, you know, Cash App, all these online giving tools, these virtual giving tools are really important. Any other suggestions on how you can make giving easier, physically or emotionally? My last suggestion is, if you don't have the cash, you can give the time. So I am recommending, and some nonprofits have been very successful on their giving form, where it has, you know, you can give $50, $60, $100. It has 2 hours, 1 hour, event set up at a fundraiser. It actually lists the physical ways you can give. So think about utilizing that. So what are some ways to make giving easier? And that's including it in your fundraising appeals. So any document that you send out that says, you know, give $25, give $50, give $100, right next to it, right across in another column, have number of hours or support for particular events. This is really successful, because some people, what they do is that they'll give time and then decide to give money. Next slide, please. So we talked about the reflection and your brand. Let me go to the next one. Here are some takeaways. Does my brand advance my accomplishments? Because your brand is a reflection of you. So that is why we see so much color being used in targeted marketing, because the statistics prove if your organization is identified with a color, folks will more often think about you. So try to use colors or shapes, images, or words in a consistent way so that they advance your organization and your organization's accomplishments, which we've talked about, I think, enough today. We've talked about how to advance, you know, celebrating, publicizing, sharing. And next slide, here are some definite ways. Here, I'm going to give you some, this is how you can advance your accomplishments. Newsletters, live feeds at events, hosting town halls, and a new thing now is house parties, home-based parties, where you just invite friends, like we used to back in the day when they had Tupperware parties. They had the chef, what was it? There's something chef. I forgot the name of those chef parties.
Pampered chef.
Yes. Remember Pampered Chef? You would have house parties. Yes. Community awards. Create a community award through your organization. You know, put together some eligibility criteria, send it out, and have the community nominate, you know, a youth, a senior, or some other contributor to the community. Create a community award. Youth investment. We always benefit from having a targeted approach to involving youth in our mission. So whatever that looks like, find a way or identify a way to invest in youth and to highlight that. So these are some ways that you can add calm to your collection. We don't have to be frantic or feel rushed or without time or without what we need to accomplish our goals. Look at what we've got. Look at what we have already and advance and elevate those elements in very simple ways. Next slide. Here are some ways to start from within. So I'm going to leave you with this. Your calm translates. Creating and enhancing calm in your organization. I think Annette talked about it earlier about shifting the way of thinking when it comes to decision making. And I recommended, democratic, collaborative ways of arriving at a decision point. Find ways, to give your team or to take time to just talk through problems or talk through ideas without any pressure to get to the end. So holding annual retreats. If you don't have a yearly retreat, please make sure you schedule one, whether it's 2 people, 2 members that you have, or 20. Annual retreats are so important because it gives you time to stop, to think, to talk, and to share. And I can help, and there are many ways to help guide you through putting together a really impactful retreat. Implement internal inclusion, engagement, and diversity strategies. So paying attention to engagement. How do you include and engage your members or your supporters? Really think creatively about different ways to do that. We've got the summer months here. We can be outdoors. We can do a lot in parks, at state parks, at local parks. We can do things at the beach or coastally, on the coastline. Think about some creative ways to engage with folks. Finally, also grow from within. So creating mentorship opportunities. This is the first time in U.S. history we have 5 generations in the workplace. So you could have an organization that has members, in their 20s, and members that are in their 70s. How are we bridging those experiences? Create mentorship networks internally. The word gets out. That's what folks don't understand. With social media, everyone tells everybody's business. So the more we do internally, the word gets out to the public about what you are doing internally. And that can attract and bring folks to your organization. You're no longer chasing donors. You're actually accepting, developing, supporting, and engaging with them. Being present, that means taking that time every year or every 6 months to really think about who you are as an organization, and maybe integrating some mindfulness techniques in the workplace, stretching, breathing, meditation, perhaps giving out or having a competition to receive discounts on massage treatments. These are all ways to enhance internal calm, which translates to the public. Next slide. Any questions or comments? This was a great session. Questions or comments? I'm going to sit down again. Any questions or comments from the community?
I have a comment. I really want to appreciate this section. It's really can I use the word and high hope now? Because the part where you mentioned publicize, what's it? I think I just did it.
Oh, yes. Plan,
Yeah,
measure, celebrate.
Plan, measure, and celebrate.
Yeah, and
I can use the word that can I use the word scared or not bold enough
Of
to
course.
publicize, to share. I've always been this low-key person. So for like so many months, when I created the Facebook group, because I was thinking of having it one-on-one with mothers, like having one-on-one conversation with mothers. I don't really want to like go to social media like that.
I
But
know.
when I created the group, I had 16 people joined initially. And there was a day I did a video just to encourage mothers, and I mistakenly posted it to Facebook. So when I posted it to Facebook, my dad called me, and my dad was like, and he never knew about the project. So he just called me and was like, I saw your video. Wow, that's so nice. It's a very nice concept. Don't stop. Just keep going. And I was like, really? What video are you talking about? Now say Mindful Moms. And he never knew anything about Mindful Moms.
Wow.
Wow, really? And so many people started getting in touch with me. If I tell you before the end of that day, I think I have maybe 65 people joined
You see?
the group. So
You
I was
see?
like, oh my goodness. So I've been just changing myself.
That's right.
So I started, keep going, though I've not really been consistent, being a mother, trying to but as time goes on, I started a series around June on fathers to encourage the importance of father in the home, bringing
Yes.
fathers together. And I noticed fathers are now even showing interest in the group. They started joining, even though the focus was on mom. I'm now seeing a bigger picture of creating an environment of a stronger family.
And it's hard. The virtual, so two things I think, Janet, this is excellent, is fear and being scared is absolutely fine saying, because that's the truth. Like Annette said earlier, we promote everybody else except ourselves. Publicizing, I like to use the word publicize instead of market. Marketing is like an overused term, and it is intimidating because people think, oh, I have to be like this master marketer. I have to know how to do like LinkedIn and social media and do YouTube. No, publicize. That could be just as simple as putting what you do in an announcement section at a community newspaper. I just told the group to do that because it's free. You can put your group's information in the community newsletter. But yes, I think we underestimate sometimes ourselves. Now, as far as gaining traction with populations virtually, it is often extremely difficult to engage segments of the population only virtually. So sometimes affinity marketing works. So getting a male or a father to do a vignette, maybe with some music in the background, a video inviting folks out, perhaps doing it around an activity, because everyone's different. I do believe that gender roles are changing and people's expressions are fluid, absolutely. However, we need to have a diversity in how we attract people. So virtual and talking appeals to one population. In-person and physical appeals to other characteristics of people. So think about the mix. Think about the mix of events. I just went to, my brothers were invited. I didn't go. There was a fatherhood event right after the pandemic. I think it was 2 years ago. Right in the neighborhood, a father and mother, same like you, were committed to, and showcasing family, the importance of family coming out of the pandemic. And he had this event at his house, had over 150 people, all men.
Wow.
All men. And I forget the title. I think it was called Fathers In or Fathers Up. And it was all about uplifting fatherhood. However you see that. So they had old, young, married, unmarried. They had a wisdom circle. They had a wisdom circle. They had an elder circle. So all the men over 65 were in a group with a microphone talking. So think about getting some insight from the population that you're hoping to reach and have them help shape it. It's not just you. It's not just you.
No.
Yeah, our organization, we struggle after a while. What starts to happen, we all start looking homogenous. And I always get on people like that. I'm like, okay, look around. We're all looking the same now. We're not engaging people. So you got to reach out to the population you want to reach and bring them in and let them do it.
Mm, 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 mm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I have a question concerning the community newsletter. How can I approach that? Because I've been trying to write is it Newsday and the likes, that how to feature part of what we do in Mindful Moms. Maybe if we can get a column, something, but I don't know the best approach to.
So women's, I think it's called Women's Long Island Woman is free. I've written in that yep, I've written in that. So find for, you know, when you go to like Main Street, and I don't know where you live, but like say Port Jefferson, Patchogue, Bayshore, they have like these
Freeport.
free, yeah, they have like newsletter, yeah, Freeport, Union, they have free newsletters, right? In some of these stores. Most of those magazines and newspapers will take they will solicit community-based reflections. So I've written articles in different different outlets that way. The other way is create your own email list. So you see, I put in the chat, I said, if you're interested in receiving my newsletter, email me. Every time now the library can't promote it, but when people email me, I add them because I do a newsletter twice a year. So I'm up to like 160 names in 5 years. And these are folks that have come out to an event or a workshop that I've done. And my newsletters are all about the industry. I don't necessarily promote my business only at the end, like the last page. It really is usually about a topic. So I would say create an email list, get your internal email list together. And every 6 months, every 3 months, do a 1-page newsletter yourself. It could be an email blast, Janet. You don't need to overthink it. Do an email blast, 1 page. Highlight your events, what you did for the year and what you're doing coming up. Maybe highlight, if someone is willing, highlight a success story. And then have a way to get contacted, on there. So email me if you're interested. You can see the format that I use. I tell everybody I'm very transparent. I use Canva. I use Canva to populate all my newsletters. I don't do any of that formatting myself. I use Canva. And the library actually has a Canva workshop coming up on the 5th, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. The 6th.
It's the 6th. It's on Tuesday because I wanted to take it. I wanted to take, I did 1 workshop. I've done 2 so far. I'm still like beginner intermediate, but I really want to improve my Canva, my Canva capabilities, because I can do Instagram posts with Canva too. So don't overthink it, Janet. Come to the Canva workshop, please.
Yeah, we have a intro to Canva on August 6th. That's virtual, so you don't have to come here. And then we have a intermediate or a more Canva for business in person in October. So that's when you'll be able to ask questions that go beyond just the basics. But Canva's great. It's free.
What are the 2 dates you said? August 6th is
August 6th is virtual. And then we have like an intermediate Canva in person on October 24th.
Yeah, that's what I want to come to the intensive.
And you can find all of those at the link I put in the chat.
And I want to emphasize it. Please, Annette and Janet, get comfortable with Canva, CANVA.com. You can create everything there. Please.
Thank you.
Annette, you had a question too?
No, I didn't really have a question. I mean, thank you to Janet for her input, because I'm just starting. And it's not, I'm not the owner of the non-for-profit. I've been hired to help with process and managing projects. But it's a fairly new non-for-profit. So it's good to hear some of the things that you and Janet have mentioned, because it's been useful. So I've taken a few notes.
Oh, good. It's been a pleasure, Janet and Annette. We were a small group, but again, post-pandemic, I shared this with Elizabeth. I look at quality, not quantity. The 2 of you, what you gained today, what you share, bring back to Elizabeth and I. Think about some of the things that you might want to hear about or see or learn more about later. I hope that you got some real good tidbits today to incorporate, because both of you, your work is tremendous. If you're interested in getting my newsletter, email me, but I'm definitely going to I want to go to the August 6th intro to Canva. That's really going to be, you can actually format your annual report, your newsletter, and you can even
Everything.
format email blasts. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Well, thank
This
you
is
so
great.
much,
Thank you.
Nicole. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I will be posting this to YouTube in the next couple of days. Our next program is in August, about grant writing success. We will be recording that one and posting
good.
it to YouTube either, but we'd love to have, you know, more people attending. So even if you can't attend, please share
Share,
the link
please.
with everybody, because it is open to everybody. And we do this because we want people to get this information, and we know people need it. So thank you as always, Nicole. Thank you, Janet and Annette,
Thank
for
you,
being here,
Elizabeth.
and we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Thank
much.
you. And Elizabeth, when you turn off the recording, I have one question. But thank you, Janet and Annette. I hope to see you all soon, August 13th.